Hello beautiful, welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Blessing and welcome to Blessed Beauty Hair. On this channel, I'll teach you how to install, customize, style, and maintain your lace front wigs. Whether you're a beginner or you're a pro, I'm sure that I have a video that will help you take your lace game to the next level. So if you're into that type of content, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Now today, I'm going to show you how to get a flawless install using just melting spray. That's right, no glue, no mess, no drama. This is perfect for beginners, sensitive skin, or anyone who just wants a clean, easy install that slays. So without any further ado, let's jump into the video. Here are my 1-month-old cornrows. Now don't worry, your base does not have to be super perfect because this is going to be under the wig. What is important is that whenever you're applying a wig of any kind, whether it's a closure or a frontal, you need to ensure that your base is super flat. So that means either braid it down into cornrows or slick it back as flat as you can get it for the most natural look. This is the wig that I will be installing. This is a 13x4 full frontal wig, 16 inches. And as you can see, I've already gone ahead to bleach, pluck, and overall just style the wig how I want it to be on my head so that we don't waste too much time with styling during this install. We could just pop it on our head and be good to go. Now that we have all our prep work done, we can now move on to step number 1, which would be to prep our skin. You could say that this is an optional step. However, for me, regardless of whatever type of install that I'm doing, I think it's super important to start off with clean and dry skin. To get the longest wear out of your install, it is crucial that you do not skip the skin prep. If you have any oils or makeup on your skin like I do, we absolutely need to clean it off, because if we go ahead to apply any glues or adhesive directly on this, the glue will not stick properly, nor will it last you very long. To clean off my skin, I'll be using these makeup wipes as well as some micellar water. You can as well use a towel or a cotton pad along with some isopropyl alcohol, but do be mindful that using alcohol is drying to your skin. Now, I'm just gonna grab one of these makeup wipes, fold it into a cute little square so that it's easy for us to just clean off exactly where we want to take off the makeup. And then I'm going to add a couple drops of micellar water to this. And then I begin wiping away the makeup only in places where I know I'm going to lay down my lace. So for me, this was my forehead area and on my sides. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to dry this down until my skin is completely dry. Once our skin is prepped and dried, our next step would be to slick back our edges. As you can see, mine are a little all over the place, and we don't want these getting in the way or getting stuck in our spray adhesive, so we have to hold these back. To do this, I will be using this Shine and Jam edge control, but feel free to use whatever gel or edge control of your choice. I'm gonna grab some of this on my edge brush here, and then we are going to just apply this directly to our edges. As I'm applying the gel, I am using my fingers to slick it and push it back to make sure that it lays as flat as it possibly can. I then repeated this step to the entirety of my hairline until all my edges were slicked back and laying flat. Alright, boom. So now our edges are slicked back. Once you're through, you should have something that looks like this. Your edges should be sleek, flat, and out of the way. Now we are ready to put on our wig cap. But before I do that, I'm gonna grab my makeup wipe from before and just re-clean this area. Because I just put gel on there, I just want to make sure that like there's no extra gel just laying on my skin. I don't want any extra oil interfering with how the adhesive will stick, so after wiping it down, I allowed it to dry down completely. Once that's done, we can now put on our wig cap. Now, I will be using an HD wig cap. You can as well use your regular wig caps, however, the HD wig caps are a lot more sheer, less detectable under your lace, and overall less work and easier to blend. Grab this out of the pack, and as you can see, this is super sheer. Now we can go ahead to put on our wig cap. Simply slip it over your head and pull it down until it lays as flat as it can without being uncomfortable. Also, don't forget to tuck in all your hairs in the back to make sure that none of your hairs are sticking out and everything is well protected inside of the cap. I'm gonna pull this back just a little bit. Tuck the sides of the cap behind your ears so that they lay flush, and then grab the cap from the top and gently pull the cap back until a little bit of your hairline is exposed. Just about there. All right. The next step would be to tint the cap with any foundation or skin powder that closely matches your skin tone. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. Today, I'm just gonna use the brush that I put on my foundation with. I'm using whatever's left on the brush just to tint this like front part of the cap or this band of the cap, because that's what is going to show up the most under your lace. You don't have to tint the whole wig cap if you don't want to, especially because this is an HD cap. It won't show up as much under the lace, as well as we're gonna tint the lace of the wig itself, so it's just an extra step, but if you want to do it, you can. I'm gonna just apply it to this front part right here, get a little bit back, but this is it. That's literally it. That's how I tint my cap. Because this is a new wig, I need to do a little bit of customizing on the inside before we pop her on. Now, this is an optional step and a personal preference for me. As you can see, my cap has these 4 combs on the inside. I'm going to cut out the top 3 using an eyebrow razor. Personally, I don't find them useful. If anything, they hurt my head when I have the wig on, as well as I find that my wig lays a lot flatter at the top if they aren't in there, so I'm gonna cut these out. However, if you do have a use for them, then you can leave them on. I have cut off all the combs, or almost all the combs out of the cap. The only one I left is this one at the bottom. That's the only one I really use, like, to hold my wig down in the back. Next thing we need to cut off is this little piece of lace in the back. I'm gonna use a little pair of scissors and we're just gonna snip this off. Once that's done, you should have something that looks like this. If you do want to go ahead and adjust these straps, you can, to make sure that the wig fits your head properly. Adjusting this is fairly simple. You just grab this little hook and then you stick it into one of these slots here. And the further in you go, the tighter the cap will be. I'm gonna put mine to like about there. Just like this. And it should look something like this. This wig does have a elastic band, but if yours doesn't, don't worry about it. One last thing before we put her on, we need to go ahead and tint the lace. I did bleach the knots beforehand, but in addition to that, tinting the lace will help us to get that skin-like tone or appearance. There's multiple ways that you can tint your lace. Either you can use a lace tinting mousse like this one, or you can use a tinting spray. You can even use your skin products, and by skin products I mean like makeup, foundation, concealer, or something that closely matches your skin tone. For me today, I'm going to be using this lace tinting mousse by Ebin in the shade light brown. Applying this is fairly easy. I like to go ahead and give mine a shake first to make sure that everything is like mixed together properly. Now I'm going to grab my wig and I'm going to apply this directly onto the lace. I'm gonna start with about that much and then grab my edge brush and begin blending this out until it is even. And if you need more, don't be afraid to add more. And blend this out all over the lace. Make sure you get it nice and even. Okay, I can't see what I'm doing, so I'm gonna hold it like this. Once you're done, you should have something that looks like this. The lace should be covered in this in one even layer. Now grab your blow dryer because we need to dry this down. I'm gonna blow dry this until it is completely dry. Once you're done, your lace should look something like this. And now we can go ahead and put the wig on. Put on your wig and make sure that it sits securely on your head. Also adjust it exactly how you want it to lay. Now that you have your lace positioned where you want it to be, we're going to pull this back a little bit. Gently lift the lace and bend it upwards, and once you do that, it will sit on its own. Pull this back a little so that we can see our hairline underneath, and we're gonna now apply our spray adhesive. Today I am using the Eben Wonder Lace Bond adhesive spray, but you can use any spray adhesive or melting spray of your choice. To begin applying the melting spray, I'm putting gentle pressure on the nozzle, spraying the adhesive onto my skin, beginning with my forehead. As I go, I'm outlining my hairline and using my finger to blend out the spray into one smooth, even layer. I'm only applying the spray to the areas where I know I'm going to lay my lace. Afterwards, I will use my blow dryer on the cool air setting to dry this down until it's tacky. To give you an example of that, I did dry down this first layer to show you what I mean. As you can see, when I touch the end of my comb to the adhesive, it grips onto it. This is what I mean by tacky. This is how you'll know that your glue is ready for the next layer and when it's ready for you to lay down your lace once we get to that step. The same way it grips onto the comb is the same way that it will grip onto your lace. You can tell your layer is tacky once it's clear and you've blow dried it for at least 25 to 30 seconds. I continued repeating these steps all along my hairline until I was done with my layers. I did a total of 3 layers. The more layers you do, the stronger and more long lasting the hold will be. Once my layers were complete, this is what it looks like. And again, just for demonstration, you can see that my layers are super tacky and ready to grip onto that lace. Now that our layers are done, we're going to carefully grab our lace and we're going to start pressing it into the adhesive. However, before I start gluing anything down, I want to make sure that I position the wig exactly where I want it to lay, because once you stick this on, there's no going back. So adjust the wig first before you start pressing anything in. I'm gonna start in the middle here and just adjust it to where I want my wig to be, like about there, right? And then I'll do the sides. This side is like all the way back here. My natural hairline is here, but the hairline of this wig is all the way back here. I don't know why that is, but to be able to move it and lay it down, we have to cut the lace. I'm gonna start from my ear, because once I cut this earpiece off, it'll allow me to bring this forward a little bit so we can kind of reposition the wig where we want it to stay. I'll be using these tiny scissors, but you can as well use eyebrow razors or any cutting tool of your choice that you're comfortable with. I'm gonna start from the bottom. And to cut my ear tabs, I'm kind of feeling where my ear is. This is where my ear starts. So as I'm cutting, I'm going to be feeling with my scissors, like this curvature here, and then just cut along this line. If you're a beginner, take your time with this and don't rush it. Be careful so that you don't accidentally cut yourself. Honestly, this is a step that you should do before you start gluing or putting anything on your skin so that you're not pressured to rush before the glue dries down too much. I forgot to do this, which is why I'm doing it now. But an easier way to do this if you are a beginner is before you start applying any type of glues or adhesives, fit the wig to your head first. Then you can grab something like an eyebrow pencil or a lip pencil, and with a light hand, gently outline your ear on the lace so that when you take it off, you know exactly when to cut, and then you can put your wig right back on and it should fit perfectly. Now that I have one side done, I can now tuck this back here and then reposition the lace to where I want it to be. Next, I'm gonna grab my comb and then press in that lace into that adhesive. The same thing to the other side. I then grabbed my blow dryer on the cool air setting to fully dry down the glue, since now we have positioned the wig exactly where we want it to stay. This looks so funny because look at this. Do you see where my natural hairline is and where the hairline of this wig starts? The wig is extremely, same thing on this side. The wig is extremely too small for my head, but we are going to make it work, okay? Now that we have our lace glued down, we need to tie it with an elastic band so that it can fully cure and melt. I'm going to clip away the rest of the hair so that it doesn't interfere with us being able to tie it down. And then I'm gonna grab my elastic band. Yes, this is an elastic band from another wig, but it works, okay? I'm gonna stretch this out and then tie it directly onto the hairline and then tie it down in the back as tight as I can stand it. I'm going to let this to sit for at least 10 to 15 minutes to give ample amount of time for that lace to really settle into the adhesive glue before we take it off. During this time, you can go ahead and style your hair if you haven't already. I've already done that, so I'm going to go ahead and take a little snack break and we'll be right back. So we are back. I know I said 10 to 15 minutes, but if I'm honest, it's been like maybe 45. I'm sorry, y'all. I started getting a little too comfortable, but let's take this band off and see what this lace is looking like. I'm pretty happy with that. You see how it's melted? Not only that, the adhesive was fully dry and secure. When I say it was secure, like it's stuck. It's not going anywhere. We're now going to work on cutting off the lace. Using my tiny scissors here, I'm going to make 2 slits, one on each side of my eyebrow like I'm showing. So this is one and this is the second one. So now you should have 3 sections, 1 in the middle and 2 on the sides. Splitting your lace into sections like this will make it a lot easier to cut. I'll begin cutting starting from the middle section. I'm lifting the lace slightly to position it where I want it to be before I cut it. As I'm cutting in a zigzag motion like this. I'm not just cutting straight across. Cutting the lace in a jagged motion adds dimension and allows it to blend more seamlessly when it's melted, unlike cutting straight across in a blunt line. Doing it this way makes it harder to detect where the lace begins, because if you think about it, no one's hairline is perfectly straight. Everyone's hairline has some sort of curves and variations. So here is the first section done. Notice I'm not cutting off too much lace or cutting too close to the hairline. I'm leaving a small strip of lace about 1/8 of a centimeter in front for a more natural and flattering finish. Now repeat these steps until you're finished cutting off the remaining sections. And this is what my lace looks like when I am finished. Obviously, I left a lot more lace on the sides because of the wig's hairline. Our next step is to use the melting spray to melt the lace for a more skin-like finish. As a beginner, there's two ways you can do this. You can either spray it directly onto your finger and then use it to press it onto the lace, or you can spray it onto something like the top of a jar or a can and then use your rat tail comb to pick up some of the adhesive and then apply it to the lace that way. This is easier if you don't want to get your fingers all sticky and if you want to have a little more control over how much adhesive you are applying. However, in my opinion, this is a bit time consuming having to do little by little like this. I like to just go in and spray it directly onto the lace from the can, but for the sake of this video and because this is the most popular method for beginners to get used to using the spray, I'm demonstrating it this way. I will advise if you're using this method to do this in sections and then quickly blow dry it until it is completely dry before moving on to the next section, because the longer you let this sit on the lace, it will start to make the lace lift, and we don't want that. And lastly, I just went ahead to repeat this step all along my hairline and made sure to dry it down completely. So far, this is what we have. Now, she looks okay. However, this is transparent lace, so we have to do just a little bit more to be able to melt it down. I believe the lace mousse that I used is just a little bit too light for my skin. Of course, I can go ahead and double the layer on it. However, I'm going to choose to use my bronzer just so that it matches the skin up here since I have makeup on. I'm taking this additional step because one, I mean, we can't go out looking like this, and two, this is transparent lace, so I have to do a little bit more to be able to blend it into my skin. However, if you have HD lace or a thinner lace, you could probably get away with just applying the melting spray, drying it down, and then tying it with your elastic band. But I, on the other hand, am not so lucky with this wig, so I have to go ahead and blend it out a lot more. So that's what I'm going to do. This is an additional step that I have to take since I'm working with a thicker, transparent lace. In order to give it that skin-like appearance, I have to go back in with my makeup to blend it out until it is to my liking. I started with my bronzer, but the color payoff wasn't giving what I needed, so I went ahead to grab my concealer and buffed it out with a makeup brush before applying it to the lace. This concealer was my shade, or maybe one shade darker than me, but it worked a lot better to give me that skin-like tone I was looking for. I then went back in with the brush that I used for my bronzer, not applying any more product, but just using what's in the brush to blend everything together so that it matches my face. Being mindful not to cake up the lace with too much product. Once I was happy with the look, I sprayed it down one more time to seal everything in, blow dried it on cool until it was completely dry, and now we're going to tie this down with an elastic band one more time for another 10 to 15 minutes to give time for that lace to melt. About 15 minutes later, I took off the band and this is what we have. I was a lot happier with this result as it looked a lot more skin-like and matched my face a lot better. From here, I'm just doing some finishing touches. I grabbed my edge brush and used the comb on the back to brush out the hairs in the front. Since I did spray them down with the adhesive spray, I wanted them to look soft and fluffy and not like they're just glued down to my forehead. Normally from here, I'd be done because I do prefer my installs without baby hairs, but because of this weird hairline on this wig, I had to leave a lot of extra lace to be able to cover my hair underneath on the sides, and because it looked bald, it just looked weird to me, especially when I pulled the hair back or tuck it behind my ear. I felt like I had to add the baby hairs to be able to cover it and make it look like it's normal, and this was a bit of a struggle because I haven't done baby hairs in years, you guys, so don't judge them too hard. But once I was done and I liked the way that they looked, I tied it down again with the elastic band for about 5 to 10 minutes to give it time to set and dry down. While I waited on that, I decided to grab my hot comb again and press down or flatten out the top of my hair so that it doesn't look so bulky. To clean up and define my part, I grabbed my concealer and applied it directly on my part, and then I used my finger to buff out that line so that it isn't super harsh. And again, this is me being super over the top. The more I looked at my hair, the more I didn't like it. I felt like it was super flat, so I did decide to curl it, or at least put some type of curls in it. But it wasn't giving what I wanted to give, so I did decide to add some layers to it. And I didn't do this super pretty, you guys. I just grabbed the scissors and kind of just hacked at the front of the hair until I felt like it was okay. Then I grabbed my iron again and tried to curl it to see what it was looking like, and I was a lot more pleased with the result. So I went ahead to repeat the same thing on the other side. From here, after I finish curling the hair, what you're gonna see me do is brush out the curls and just play with the hair repeatedly, just brushing and shaping until I'm satisfied with how the hair is falling and how it looks overall. Lastly, I took off the elastic band, then cleaned and straightened up my part, combed out the baby hairs a bit so that they look a bit softer, and then reshaped the hair to how I wanted it to be, and this is the final result. Honestly, despite all the wahala that this wig gave me, I think she came out pretty cute. What do you think? Drop me a comment down below.
And that's it, a flawless, glueless install using nothing but melting spray. We've reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this, as well as drop me a comment down below. Do you like installs with the glue or without the glue? Let me know. Until next time, remember, I love you, but the Lord Jesus Christ loves you more, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.